Nice to see David out of his suit and his collar unbuttoned a little bit. All right, President Trump's visit, meanwhile, comes as the socialism surge spreads west. A far-left congressional candidate who called 9/11 and the October 7th attacks on Israel inevitable has knocked out a 29-year incumbent in Colorado. Our chief congressional correspondent, Chad Pergram, is reporting live on the Hill. He's got an update on all of that for us. Hello, Chad.
Sandra, good afternoon. Diana DeGette has served in Congress since 1997, but 29-year-old Milat Kiros beat DeGette in the Colorado primary last night. It's the latest swing to the left by the Democratic Party.
We will not wait! We will not wait to abolish ICE and pass Medicare for all! We will not wait to put an end to the politics of the past, to get big money out of our politics, and to reject corporate tax. And no, we will not wait to end the genocide in Palestine.
Democratic socialists have racked up wins. They knocked off two incumbent Democrats in the New York primary last week. The left has a vision for the country which diverges from what mainstream Democrats have pushed for years.
Some progressives that are winning. They're winning on platforms like Medicare for all, universal health care, universal child care, raising the minimum wage. And the reason that Donald Trump has to pivot from saying socialist to saying communist now is because socialism is actually quite popular.
Republicans oppose radical ideas advocated by the left, but in a strange way, the GOP believes this could actually help their party hold the House. Republicans say the progressive
is a contrast between people who love the country and its founding principles and those who have open disdain and hatred for them.
Now, these Democratic socialists will likely win their seats this fall, but the question is if Republicans can nationalize the election. That could make it hard for Democrats to win in swing districts. Sandra?
Chad Pergram live on the Hill there for us. Chad, thank you. John?
All right, Sandra, let's bring in Laura Ingraham, host of the Ingraham Angle. Laura, it's great to have you with us this afternoon.
Great to see you guys.
Thanks for coming in a bit early. So here's how Politico Playbook described Milat Kiros' win over Diana DeGette last night. Quote, PhD student and part-time barista with no political experience taking on a 30-year member of Congress who outraised her 2-1. This socialist red tide was described by many Democrat analysts and specialists who I think were more hopeful than anything. It was described as a New York-only phenomenon. Clearly, it is not that.
No, I mean, remember in 2009, the Republican Party had its own eruption with the Tea Party. I was at a lot of those events. In 1979, Ronald Reagan shook up the Republican Party from the old guard, and he ended up winning huge, obviously. But this is their moment, and they're not messing around. They want the party to change dramatically from the old Clinton, even Obama era of, appearing at least on the surface to be more reasonable, not using terms like socialism or things like abolishing ICE. Old Democrats would never say that. They would say either we need a strong border or we got to reform ICE. But they've had enough of that. And a chance with zero real political experience or real world experience. And so they think this is their moment. I do agree that Republicans have a massive opportunity to flip this narrative on them and really drive turnout because of what this will mean to our standard of living, our safety, our security, our border, all those basic things that most Americans, just common sense people, think we actually need.
Yeah, flipping that narrative, Laura, great to have you on, is clearly what we're seeing on the part of the White House and the part of the Republican Party. This was some of the interview with J.D. Vance on your show last night. Listen.
It is communism, Laura. This is not, this is not raising taxes a little bit, however much we might disagree with that. This is abolishing the police. This is let criminals run amok in your cities. This is flood your country with low-wage third-world immigrants. And importantly, it's confiscating wealth, not because we want to make anybody's life better, but purely out of resentment.
Will Republicans get through to voters with that kind of messaging, Laura?
Oh, I think so. I mean, look, you had Chris Murphy the other day, senator from my home state of Connecticut, say, well, I might not agree with everything, essentially, but they're bringing a lot of energy to the party, and capitalism really hasn't worked in many ways for many people. I say to my old Connecticut Yankees, Colt Manufacturing, Pratt Whitney Aircraft, Electric Boat, Sikorsky, Otis Elevator, all the great manufacturing history of Connecticut. Now all the hedge funders and all the private equity guys who commute in from New York and live in Greenwich, are they ready to have their wealth confiscated and the end of capitalism? How is that going to work out for Connecticut? So I think in the end, could actually propel the Republicans to victories they might otherwise have really had to fight for.
Yeah, capitalism hasn't worked for some people, but socialism hasn't worked for anyone.
Anyone. Thank you, John.
There's always that choice as well. Hey, so again, this was seen as a New York-only phenomenon, but take a look at this. The number of far-left candidates who have won primary elections this year. I mean, that's enough to fill up a wall. That is a full 28-member MLB team roster. And what's interesting is that, back in the 1960s, there was a socialist surge, but no overtly socialist candidates ever were elected to Congress. This time around, things are far different because these people really want to shape the Democratic agenda.
Yeah, and I think the difference between like the 70s, where you had a lot of these anti-American movements crop up across the country, and a lot of them were supported by the old Soviet Union, remember? There was a lot of influx of support there. But you're right, John. I think now there's such a deeply embedded sense of anti-Americanism that has been inculcated in our schools. That has really had a profound effect. Republicans have been talking about school choice and revamping education for years, but the left's stranglehold on our public schools, many of our private institutions, our universities, then the influx of immigrants. A lot of these candidates are new, are either the children of new immigrants, like of course from Ethiopia or Uganda with Mamdani, Ethiopia with Kiros. So they come to this country, and it's not like the old days. You're like, you come here to love the country, you come here to be American. You come here to dismantle America. That's what's new here. And that's what the Republicans really have to work on next, which is a complete educational renewal.
To do, Laura, when it comes to finding out who is the leader of their party or who they want to be the leader of their party. Axios with this headline: Harris reaches out to Mamdani, pro-Palestinian activist in run-up to 2028. Harris and her team have also been reaching out to pro-Palestinian activists during the past year, including at least one who helped lead the Uncommitted movement, which grew out of opposition to former President Biden's policy on the war in Gaza. Is Kamala Harris making a comeback?
No, Kamala Harris is being Kamala Harris. I mean, she's never had an original idea in her life. She's always blown with the wind. There's no philosophical underpinning of the woman who is Kamala Harris. She was a creation out of San Francisco politics, and she rode a wave. And she rode a wave to the White House as vice president, was a disastrous vice president, was even a more disastrous presidential candidate, and she's still trying to babble her way through interviews. I mean, this is what I'm saying. I think the Democrats should go all in. Nominate AOC in 2028, and let's have this argument once and for all. Freedom and capitalism and American sovereignty, or socialism and redistribution and open borders. Let's have that debate, because I know who's going to win that debate, and it ain't going to be AOC.
So it seems, at least for the time being, a lot of establishment Democrats are kind of whistling past the graveyard about this insurgency. Listen to this short little montage.
Yeah.
We have a Big Tent party. That's what it says.
I'm all about new leadership. I don't agree with all their positions, but I respect what the voters have done in New York. That's not reflected in the entire country. Every district determines who they want. We may not like it.
Chris Van Hollen, we're a bit
of a tent to accommodate anyone who is pro-life. And they will try to dump John Fetterman as fast as they can. So the idea that these people are big tent, you know what they are? They're scared. They don't have any solutions for the American people. Their ideas have failed. They're celebrating Obama's library. You know what his legacy is? Donald J. Trump. That's what Obama's real legacy is. They know it. They have no answers. Socialists come in and say, we have answers. So we'll have to have this debate all over again. I'm ready for it. It's exciting.
Hey, Laura, we hope you come back again soon. We'll see you tonight. Thank you so much.
Headquarters, New York City. Ownership, a subsidiary of the Fox Corporation. Focus. It was launched as an alternative to what its founders perceived as a liberal bias in mainstream media. The network is known for its conservative editorial perspective and has historically been a significant force in American political discourse. Reach. As of recent years, it has consistently remained one of the most watched cable news networks in the United States. Reputation and criticism. Fox News occupies a unique and often polarizing position in the U.S. media landscape. Support. It maintains a loyal viewership, particularly among Republicans and conservatives, many of whom trust it as their primary source of news. Criticism. The network has been the subject of numerous controversies and criticisms regarding its editorial independence and the factual accuracy of its reporting. Critics, including media watchdog groups and academic researchers, often characterize the network as having a strong bias in favor of the Republican Party, and note that it is frequently viewed with high levels of distrust by those on the political left. Programming. While it began with a focus on news and political commentary, its programming has evolved over the decades to include a wide array of topics, including business, weather, and general lifestyle content. It utilizes a highly visual presentation style that contributed to its growth and eventual dominance in cable news ratings. Is there a specific aspect of Fox News, such as its history, its current shows, or its impact